In the backdrop of the Uri terrorist attack, Pakistan and Indian Army DGMO established hotline contact on India's request this afternoon. Latest situation along the LOC was discussed, calling India's claims as unfounded and premature. Pakistan DGMO asked his counterpart to share any actionable intelligence. He also reiterated no infiltration is allowed from Pakistani soil because watertight arrangements were made in place on both sides of the LOC. Let me go across to my colleague Shuja ul Haq for more on this. Shuja, this is the line that Pakistan reiterates time and again. They are living in denial, calling that their side is completely infiltration proof, where India time and again has given them concrete proof of these launch pads where these terrorists are sneaked into Indian side.
Well, I think it's an interesting situation here. You know, when even again, the Pakistan industry,
okay, there's some problem there with the audio line of Shuja. Let me just quickly take in Gaurav Sawant on this. Gaurav, this is the line that Pakistan has always stored. They don't ever will agree to the evidence that Indian side gives to them.
You know, Pakistan has a history. In this case also, Pakistan is saying there is no evidence of Pakistani involvement, India being premature, but that's clearly not true. Take 26/11 Mumbai terror attacks, for instance. Even in 26/11 Mumbai terror attacks, there was ironclad evidence of involvement of Pakistani terrorists, not just provided by India, but also by other intelligence agencies and terrorists who participated in that terror attack, and yet Pakistan did not believe that. In Pathankot terror strike, Prime Minister Narendra Modi staked his personal capital and credibility at stake when he invited Pakistani ISI and other officers to investigate this case, the Pathankot terror attacks themselves, and yet Pakistan has taken no action against terrorists. In this instance, once again, the DGMO went on record to say Pakistan Ordnance Factory markings have been found, maps have been found in Pashto. There is other intelligence also which gradually India will give out to the world and once again expose Pakistan. It remains to be seen whether Pakistan takes action or not.
Well, that's the big question always, whether Pakistan takes action or not. And so far, they have not even demonstrated the will to take action on the terrorists that are homegrown as far as Pakistan is concerned. Well, let's very quickly now tell you what is the inside story of this Uri attack. This is an India Today exclusive. In fact, terrorists attacked block of army which constituted unarmed soldiers. Let me now quickly go across to Gaurav Sawant, who has all the details as far as this inside story on the terror attacks is concerned. Over to you, Gaurav.
India Today now gets you the inside track of where these terrorists came from, how they crossed the line of control, how they reached the battalion rear. Now, there was one battalion that was coming in, the other that was leaving. And these terrorists, they chose a soft target. You had additional number of troops who were deployed at one location. Some were living in tents. There was a fuel depot there. So they used under-barrel grenade launchers. They fired multiple grenades at one point of time. They also had incendiary explosives. They used that. Some of these soldiers who were living in those tents and prefabricated huts were unfortunately burnt alive as everything just suddenly lit up. So that is one part of the story. 13 soldiers were martyred in sleep. They were charred. Several others were injured. They suffered burn injuries. 4 soldiers were martyred when they engaged these 4 terrorists. So very, very clearly, these terrorists were well armed, well trained. They had access to intelligence about additional troops at one location because a battalion changeover was taking place.
All right, it's Gaurav Sawant bringing you the inside story of what all was planned and what the Pakistani terrorists wanted to do. 17 army Jawans have been martyred in a terror attack at Uri at the army camp in the Jammu and Kashmir. In fact, according to the army, a group of heavily armed terrorists targeted the administrative base of a unit following a fierce gun battle that lasted for hours. 4 terrorists were finally gunned down. While combing operations are still underway, UAVs have also been deployed in the area to locate more terrorists. Here's a complete report.
army camp in Uri near the line of control. 4 terrorists sneaked into the army camp, breaching a fence at around 5:30 on Sunday morning. Around 7 a.m., heavy smoke was seen billowing out of the army camp as tented barracks caught fire after terrorists exploded grenades. A fierce gun battle followed as the army engaged the terrorists. First reports said 6 Jawans were injured. The army then airdropped special forces to battle the terrorists. 3 choppers were sent from Baramulla to Uri. After 4 hours of relentless gun battle, the 4 terrorists were gunned down. News then filtered out that 17 Jawans had lost their lives.
The operation here in the brigade headquarters of the army in Uri near line of control is now over by the elimination of all the 4 armed Fidain militants who had been neutralized, and a heavy catch of arms and ammunition has been recovered from them, including the maps which were clearly showing these locations of army here in the brigade headquarters. They have targeted 10 Dogra unit inside this brigade headquarters where 17 Jawans lost life and also 20 Jawans are injured. 8 of them are seriously injured.
The breach of an army camp so easily by terrorists has once again raised questions on security at defense outfits. Clearly, it appears no lessons were learned from Pathankot. Bureau Report, India Today.
At this point, let me bring in my colleague Ashraf Wani, who is in Uri tracking all the developments since early morning there. Ashraf, the Raksha Mantri is in Jammu and Kashmir. The army chief, in fact, visited the Uri camp where you are stationed. First of all, bring us up to speed with what is the latest there. We have also been told that the operations are still going on, combing operations, and even the condition of few Jawans is said to be extremely serious.
Absolutely, Ankit. Basically, we have seen the army chief not only visited Srinagar base hospital, he also visited the on-spot assessment here in the army headquarters in Uri. He was almost all for and over here. He interacted with the Jawans, all those soldiers who were the part of this operation, and then finally got the overall picture of this terror attack in Uri and then briefed it to the defense minister in Srinagar. Now, as you mentioned, the concern is the condition of all 20 Jawans who got injured in this attack, and 8 of them are critical. They are being treated here in Srinagar. Maybe some of them may be airlifted to Delhi for the specialized treatment there in the AIMS or in any other special institute. But so far, are also much concerns not only in the central government but even in the state government. We have seen today evening there was a meeting between the governor of J&K state, which was attended by chief minister also, and all the top officials of the security establishment were in that meeting, and they have reviewed the security situation, particularly after the Poonch attack as well as after the Uri attack, today's Uri attack. And probably now the security forces as well as army has to fight on 2 fronts. One is the infiltration bits which are continuously going on the line of control, and also hinterland and inside the towns. Just I am speaking to you, there was a shooting incident in Sopore where a police constable has been shot and he is seriously injured, and fire took place during the protests. So very critical situation for the security agencies in the state as well as for the army on the line of control.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Ashraf, for bringing us all those details. A long day for colleague Ashraf Wani there in Uri. In fact, now let's bring you our next story. Exposing Pakistan. Yet again, the Indian army has asserted terror outfit Jaish-e-Mohammed was behind the deadly Uri attack. Confirming the Jaish link, the army revealed articles recovered in fact from the terrorists had Pakistan marking on them. As the India DGMO spoke to his counterpart in Pakistan expressing concerns, the big question is, will Pakistan continue to remain in denial?
January 2nd, the Pathankot airbase attacked. September 18, an army camp attacked in Uri. On your screens are scenes from two of the deadliest terror strikes against the forces. What's strikingly similar in the two attacks is that the terrorists were highly trained and heavily armed. Trained, armed and motivated by the same outfit operating out of Pakistan, Jaish-e-Mohammed. It is now confirmed that Hafiz Saeed's Jaish-e-Mohammed was behind the Uri attack. As Pakistan remains in denial, it stands exposed yet again. Clear evidence that the attackers were from across the border.
The terrorists had some items which had Pakistani markings on that. I have spoken to the Pakistan Director General of Military Operations and conveyed our serious concerns about the same.
Despite pressure by India against Saeed, Pakistan is refusing to crack down on terrorists using its soil. More proof that the Pakistani government is patronizing terrorists for its own ulterior motives.
As per the army, the attackers in Uri were from the Jaish-e-Mohammed militant outfit. The weapons, the AK-47 rifles that were recovered from them had clear Pakistani markings. The DGMO of Indian Army has spoken to his counterpart and expressed serious concern over this deadly attack.
With Shuja-ul Haq in Kashmir, Bureau Report, India Today.
Gaurav, there's no doubt of the evidence that India has of Pakistan's involvement. And as Ashraf was also telling us, the situation right now extremely serious. It's a two-pronged attack from Pakistan, one of sneaking these terrorists and also trying to fan the unrest in Jammu and Kashmir.
Ankit, there is a pattern to the Pakistani attacks. Pakistan's Prime Minister Nawaz Sharif is to address the United Nations General Assembly. Before that, the Pakistan Army and the ISI, they are trying to up the ante. So there was an attack in Poonch. 4 terrorists were launched. They were carrying maps. Their target was the Poonch Brigade headquarters. Those terrorists failed. They were killed. The second set of terrorists, when they've infiltrated, they have maps in Pashto. Again, the brigade headquarters is marked. They succeed in reaching the location. They've targeted the location. There was an intelligence alert about the location being targeted. Unfortunately, we've suffered 17 casualties. There is one more terrorist group that is still out there. And I want to quickly bring in Lieutenant General Atta Hasnain. General Hasnain has commanded the Srinagar Corps. He's well aware of the lay of the land. He's commanded that brigade in Uri. So he knows that area better than anybody else. He joins me on the broadcast. Also with me is Major Gaurav Arya, a young veteran of the army, again someone who's served in Jammu and Kashmir. And Colonel Shafqat Saeed joins us from Pakistan. We'll go to him in a bit. But General Atta Hasnain, I want to come to you first, sir. What do you make of the Uri terror attack, the Poonch terror attack, and the pattern that's now emerging?
Absolutely clear. There is no two ways about it. There is a linkage between these attacks, all of them, and what is happening in the hinterland. You see, Pakistan over a period of time has lost its hold and control over the operations which were taking place inside the valley. With a strength of less than 300 terrorists, Pakistan was obviously not in a position to be able to control the entire movement which was going on out here. The killing of Burhan Wani and the subsequent civil disobedience, stone throwing, has all come to its assistance and has been able to rejuvenate this entire campaign. However, to do that, it does not have enough boots on the ground inside the valley. What it has got is enough boots on ground in the training camps, in the launch pads, and they can carry out infiltration, short, shallow infiltration to the through the LOC and strike areas which are not too much in depth, but are installations nevertheless, and which have some tactical and operational importance. All these, we have been repeatedly seeing attacks at Tangdar. We've seen the attempt at Poonch, and Uri was just waiting to happen.
A pattern there being emerging as we were discussing here on India Today. Slipping into a very short break, we'll get our guest from Pakistan and also Major Arya to respond on what needs to be done next. The Indian Army suffered one of its biggest casualties as 17 soldiers were killed and more than 25 injured in an attack on an army camp in Uri. And while 2 out of the 3 terrorist squads which infiltrated from Pakistan have been neutralized, one terror group is still believed to be out on the prowl.
Pakistan-backed terrorists striking in the valley once again. 17 army jawans martyred in a cowardly terror attack on India's army camp. Days before the dastardly attack, according to intelligence input, 3 Fidaiin squads crossed over the line of control. Even the former army general has claimed that he had warned the army about the impending attack.
And I want to quickly bring in India Today's editor Shiv Arur for more on this story. Shiv, what more are your sources telling you?
Well, this is a desperate Pakistan doing what it does best, Gaurav.
India Today was the first to report 2 days ago that Pakistan is getting desperate to make global headlines on Jammu and Kashmir ahead of Pakistan Prime Minister Nawaz Sharif's address to the United Nations General Assembly.
Alert has been shared with the Jammu and Kashmir police, the CRPF and the army.
After the 3-day-long gun battle, one terror squad was neutralized in Poonch on September 12th. However, the second Pakistani terror squad reached Uri and targeted the army camp. Adding to the security agency's worries, the third Fidaiin squad is still on the prowl. Sources suggest it is looking for soft target along Srinagar highway and can target any army, CRPF, BSF locations or convoy. With around 5 heavily armed and highly trained terrorists believed to be travelling together, the security forces are on high alert. Bureau Report, India Today.